Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my WrestleMania 37 review. We've got both night 1 and 2 all in one video. So first we're going to go over what happened on night 1 on Saturday, and then we're going to switch over to Sunday night, WrestleMania night 2. Let's get started with how the show kicked off. So the show kicked off with all of the with Vince McMahon and all of the wrestlers on the stage for WrestleMania, and he said, "Welcome back, WWE Universe. Welcome to WrestleMania." And then it played the WrestleMania intro, and then it came back and it was BB Rexa or something like that, and she was singing the I forget which one it was. I think it was America the Beautiful or whatever. And then after that, it was supposed to be Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship, but instead we got a rain delay. WWE can't catch a break. Yeah, literally the first WrestleMania back with fans, and it's the only WrestleMania in history to get a rain delay. But that happened for like about a half hour, so it was supposed to start at 8. It started at 8:30, basically 9 o'clock almost. And we just had a bunch of interviews from like Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Cesaro, Rollins, Kevin Owens, just people like that. But then the show eventually did get started with the first entrance being Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Before that, we had Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan welcoming the fans, but who really cares about that? And then we got the first real entrance, which was Drew McIntyre, and then after that, we got Bobby Lashley. You could tell both of them were really happy the fans were there. Drew McIntyre showed a little bit more than Bobby Lashley, though, because Drew is the face and Bobby's a heel. But this match was pretty good. Drew McIntyre had a part where he like flipped over the top rope and took out MVP and Lashley. There was a part where Bobby Lashley was about to get hit with a Claymore, but then MVP yelled Bobby Lashley's name, so Drew McIntyre got distracted, then turned around and went for another Claymore. Bobby ducked underneath, and then eventually Bobby Lashley locked in the Hurt Lock, and everyone was like, okay, for sure, Drew McIntyre's going to break out of this. So he runs to the corner, he flips over him, and you think he's going to get the pin thing, but no, Lashley does not let go, and eventually Drew McIntyre loses to the Hurt Lock. He doesn't tap out, but he passes out, and the WrestleMania starts with Bobby Lashley retaining the WWE Championship, and people were booing him, actually, and cheering Drew McIntyre, and I thought for sure Drew McIntyre would win this match, but no, Bobby Lashley won, and Bobby Lashley is still the WWE Champion. The almighty era continues. After that, we had the tag team turmoil, which started off with Lana and Naomi versus Carmella and Billie Kay, where Carmella and Billie Kay actually eliminated Lana and Naomi, who were my predictions to win the match, actually. And Billie Kay and Carmella, they beat Naomi and Lana, so Naomi and Lana were eliminated. And then it was the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad eliminated Billie Kay and Carmella with a really cool finisher where Liv Morgan does that knee thing she does to the face, and then Ruby Riott gets on the top rope and does a senton. So that was pretty cool. So Billie Kay and Carmella get eliminated, and then it's Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And Mandy Rose actually slipped on her way to the ring because it was raining earlier. But eventually that happens, and then Mandy Rose gets pinned by Liv Morgan, and the announcer had a botch where he thought the Riot Squad were eliminated, but they weren't. It wasn't the Riot Squad. It was Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Then Tamina and Natalya came out, and sadly Tamina and Natalya won the match with a frog splash off the top rope to Ruby Riott. Tamina pinned her 1, 2, 3, and it was going to be Tamina and Natalya versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax on night 2 for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Probably the worst match ever besides Nia Jax versus Tamina. Then we had a few segments of Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan talking backstage with the rest of the NWO, and then Bayley came in and was saying ding dong hello, talking about how she should be the host of WrestleMania and stuff, and eventually they all just walked off and said they're going to go get lunch, and Bayley was pretty mad, and there was actually rumors that Bayley was going to have a ding dong hello guest show on WrestleMania where Becky Lynch would come back, but sadly that did not happen. It was rumored for night 1. Did it happen on night 2 though? We'll have to see. After that, we had Cesaro versus Seth Rollins in easily the best match of all of WrestleMania, most likely. Maybe night 2's main event or night 1's main event was better, but this was definitely one of the best matches, especially on night 1. But we had Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins actually had this really cool entrance with like the burn it down and fire all over the place, but he actually had a new theme song. I'm pretty sure it's like a mix of the burn it down song plus his Messiah one. So I don't know what that's about, but I've only heard it once, and it was kind of weird. But at the same time, when his new theme song back in May with the Messiah song, I didn't like that when it first came out, but then I ended up liking it. So who knows? Maybe I'll like his theme song in a little bit. But for now, it's kind of weird. But then Cesaro came out. He got a pretty cool entrance. And this was a really good match. Immediately, as soon as the match starts, uppercut by Cesaro. And these guys were basically going back and forth. There was a part where Seth Rollins goes for a curb stomp. Cesaro throws him in the air and uppercuts him. There was a part where Seth Rollins hit like a 360 splash where he like jumped off the top rope and spun around in 360 degrees and then he landed on Cesaro. There was a part where Cesaro had Seth Rollins on his shoulders. It was called a UFO, and he spun around with no hands. He had his hands on his hips, hands in the air, and Cesaro was just spinning Rollins for so long, and then he sent Rollins flying. Then he hit him with the Cesaro swing, the neutralizer. 1, 2, 3. Cesaro wins at WrestleMania in his first singles match on the main show, and it was against Seth Rollins. So hopefully this is the start of a main event push for Cesaro. This was an awesome match. Everyone that I was watching the show with really liked it. Yeah, really good match. Then after that, we had the second tag match of the night. It was AJ Styles and Omos versus the New Day. And the whole thing was the New Day were going to try to not allow Omos to get in the ring. So the New Day were cutting the ring in half, basically not letting AJ Styles get to Omos. And eventually, AJ Styles did get to Omos, and the New Day were just stopped dead in their tracks. They knew they were screwed. So they were trying to fight, but they couldn't. And Omos just grabbed Kofi's hand, flipped him, grabbed Xavier and just threw him. And then there was a part where Xavier Woods was standing up and AJ Styles actually got on top of Omos' shoulder and did a phenomenal forearm off of Omos to Xavier Woods. That took him out of the equation. And then Omos picked up Kofi Kingston, slammed him, and stepped on him with 1 foot. 1, 2, 3. We've got new Raw Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Omos. Then after this, we had Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage match where Braun Strowman was making his entrance after Shane McMahon, and then Jackson Ryker and Elias hit him with a steel chair. Yeah, sorry. He hit Braun Strowman with a steel chair, beat him up, took out his leg, so that was the whole thing. Braun Strowman's leg was injured during the match. Eventually, Braun gets thrown in there, and the match goes on, and Shane hits a coast-to-coast halfway through the match. And then there's a part where Shane McMahon is climbing over the cage, and you think Shane McMahon's going to win. He's literally about to be on the floor, and he puts his hand into the cage, and he basically goes like this, Braun, mocking Braun Strowman. Braun quickly gets to his feet and grabs his hand, so Shane can't go anywhere. And then Braun Strowman rips the freaking steel cage wall off of the hinges, off the post or whatever. He ripped it in half, dragged Shane in. Then they went to the top of the cell, or the cage, and Braun Strowman threw Shane McMahon all the way down. Shane McMahon flipped, landed right on the back of his neck. Good thing Shane McMahon's okay. And then Braun Strowman picked him up. Power slam, 1, 2, 3. Braun Strowman beats Shane McMahon. Then after that, we had John Morrison and The Miz versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. So first, a bunch of bunnies came down. At first, I thought it was going to be for Bad Bunny, but then I was like, no, this is for Miz and Morrison. So a bunch of bunnies, they looked like the Easter Bunny. They all hopped down to the ring. They were dancing around. Then Miz and Morrison come out to Hey, Hey, Hop, Hop, that new song they made. They were singing it and stuff. It was bad. They walked to the ring, and then Damian Priest comes out. He got a pretty cool entrance with the fire and everything. And after that, we got Bad Bunny, who easily had the most unique entrance of the night. It started with him driving a truck to the stadium, and then his music starts blasting, and then he gets off the truck, walks down. He does that thing where he puts his like pinkies on his eyes or whatever, and then a bunch of fireworks went off, and yeah, that was a really cool moment. And then we had the match, and everyone thought for sure it was going to be Damian Priest wrestling Miz and Morrison, and then at the end, when Miz and Morrison are down and hurt, Bad Bunny will tag in, get the winning pinfall. But no, Bad Bunny wrestled most of the match. There was a part where he had a Hurricane Rana on The Miz where he was flying around. There was a part where they hit a Falcon Arrow, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny in stereo on Miz and Morrison. Bad Bunny hit a Canadian Destroyer or whatever to John Morrison on the outside of the ring. He hit a splash off the top rope to Miz and Morrison on the outside. And then the match ended with Damian Priest holding up Miz on his shoulders and Bad Bunny doing a splash off the top rope. So it was a double tag team move. And Bad Bunny gets the pin. And you could see how excited Damian Priest and Bad Bunny were. And yeah, that was a really good match, actually. He surprised everyone. And Miz and Morrison even said after WrestleMania that they did gain respect for Bad Bunny, even though they're heels. So that just shows you how much Bad Bunny really trained for this matchup. And then we had the main event match. Before WrestleMania, there was a debate on what match should be the main event. Should it be Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship, or should it be Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship? Well, it turned out that it would be Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, and I don't regret this being the main event at all. This match was super good. Both of them have really good entrances. Sasha had this cool like blue and green hair and she had like green and black on. And then Bianca had this pink and blue and purple magenta mermaid looking outfit on. And they both had a really good match. There was a part where Sasha hit a suicide dive through the ropes and Bianca Belair actually caught her and then held her up above her head and walked up the steel steps and threw her in the ring. And then there was a part where Bianca went for a 450 splash, but Sasha put her knees up. And she actually landed right on her knees. That looked like it hurt. But then Bianca eventually got another 450 splash and actually connected. 1, 2, Sasha kicks out. A good near fall. And there was a part where Sasha Banks had the bank statement on Bianca with Bianca's hair wrapped around her for leverage, where Bianca did get to the ropes eventually. And then the ending was the best. So Bianca went to pick up Sasha for the KOD, but Sasha got out of it, went for the bank statement, and then she grabbed Bianca's hair, and Bianca overpowered her, pulled Sasha Banks in, and whipped her right in the gut with the hair. There was a big mark right on the side of Sasha Banks, and you could hear the crack of the whip. It was like, bang! You could hear it. It was like someone clapped. It was super loud. And then that happened, and then Bianca picked Sasha up, KOD, 1, 2, 3, and everyone went crazy except for Michael Cole, who thought Sasha Banks kicked out. But no, she didn't. Bianca won, and Bianca is the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah, that was a pretty good night one for WrestleMania. If I'm going to rate night one, I'm going to give it 9.5, only because Tamina and Natalya won that tag team match. That was pretty stupid. But other than that, night one was really good. Was night two better, worse, the same? Let's find out. Alright, so was night one better? Was it worse? Was it the same? I'm honestly going to say it was worse. It wasn't bad, no. Just because it's worse doesn't mean it's bad. It was a really good show, but I, in my own opinion, I think night one was a little bit better than night two. One, because night one had the crowd back for the first time, so they were a lot more energetic. Number two, I feel like WWE tried to make the show look a little bit better on night one, mainly because it's the first time back. Like night two, people were already used to it, so they didn't really have as much surprise and stuff. And number three, I feel like just some of the matches were better. Like the Bad Bunny match was really good. Bianca Belair was really good. All of the matches on night one were actually pretty good, even the Women's Tag Team Turmoil match. But night two was still really good. So let's go over what happened on night two of WrestleMania 37. So WrestleMania 37 started off the same way as night one with Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil, but they were dressed as pirates this time. And yeah, who cares? But then after that, the first match, I thought it was going to be like Rhea Ripley or Sheamus or something. No, the first match was The Fiend versus Randy Orton. And it started off with Randy Orton coming out in some cool white, black, and red gear. We need to get that in a figure. He was walking to the ring. You could tell he was happy that the fans were back. And then after that, we get this clip of The Fiend walking down this dark hallway, the burnt Fiend with this like veil over his head or whatever. And then he like transforms with this orange glow around him back to the normal Fiend. But he's not super normal. He's got the red pants and boots and mask and stuff. But his hair is a little different. Like it's still got the long dreadlock style to it. But it's like the side of his head is like shaved clean bald. Like I know it usually is, but I don't know. It looked a little different. His mask is a lot whiter. Like look, as you can see right here, his mask is like a dirty white, red, and black. And now his mask is sort of a bright white, bright red, and bright black, if that makes any sense. Like it's like he's new. He's like reformed. He's brand new. Like it's like a new toy and a dirty toy. Or like if you take a dirty shoe and you like cleanly scrub it and it's back to like fresh white and stuff. That's what his mask looked like. And he had that same weird jacket on that he had on when he was burnt, just it wasn't burnt. It was like normal clothing. So which makes a lot of people think, because it was covering up his tattoos and stuff, a lot of people thought that maybe this wasn't Bray Wyatt, it was someone else, which could be possible because of what happened. So, the red light was back, but that wasn't that bad because the match was pretty short. But the Fiend was destroying Randy Orton, and then eventually Randy Orton hit 3 DDTs off the middle rope. He put him through the table or on the table, and then Bray immediately bounced back up. And Bray Wyatt was going for the Sister Abigail when Alexa Bliss, who was on this freaking mega Jack in the Box, which is what the Fiend came out of. Alexa Bliss swung the Jack in the Box, and the Fiend rose out of it. And then at the end of the match, Alexa Bliss was sitting on top of that, and Bray Wyatt was looking up at her all weird because Alexa Bliss had this crown on that was leaking black goo or something like that. The same black goo that Randy Orton has been spitting up for the past couple months, and that Alexa Bliss has been drooling on the top rope a few months ago on Raw. It was that same liquid, and Bray Wyatt was all confused. Turns around, bam! RKO, 1, 2, 3. Just like that, Randy Orton pins the Fiend. So, Randy Orton, now one of the only 2 people that have pinned the Fiend. Goldberg and Randy Orton. But after that, Randy Orton quickly got out of the ring, ran away, celebrated at the top of the ramp, and then it showed the Fiend staring at Alexa Bliss, them having a stare down, and then the lights went out and they were gone. And yeah, so we want answers. We're probably going to get some of them on Raw, not the whole thing, because obviously this is setting up for something later on. But a lot of people were mad at it. A lot of people were mad at it because Bray Wyatt lost. But I don't really mind it because, one, Bray Wyatt's not as popular as he used to be. I still like Bray Wyatt a lot, but there's obviously a bigger picture behind this that no one's really noticing yet. Because there's no way that Bray Wyatt just loses cleanly to Randy Orton for no reason. Like, why would they bring him back just to lose for no reason? There's got to be a reason. But yeah, so let's move on. Then after that, we have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Natalya and Tamina for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And this match was honestly not that bad. I mean, obviously, it had Tamina, Nia Jax, and Natalya, so it's not going to be that good. But for those 3, plus Shayna Baszler, this was a pretty good match. Shayna Baszler's good, so she kind of carried it. But the fans were cheering for Natalya and Tamina for some reason. But yeah, and Tamina and Natalya were getting close to winning. Natalya had Nia Jax in the sharpshooter, but then Shayna Baszler came in and put the Kirifuda clutch on Natalya, while Natalya had the sharpshooter on Nia Jax. And eventually, I think Natalya passed out. I don't know if she tapped out, but she passed out, I'm pretty sure. And Shayna and Nia are still the women's champions. So even that was a pretty good match. That just goes to show you how much effort they put into these WrestleMania matches, because every single match was good. Like, every single match was good. That's another thing I like about night 1 and 2 being in 2 separate things for WrestleMania, because everyone gets a lot more time. Like, Apollo Crews, Rhea Ripley, Matt Riddle, just people like that in general probably wouldn't have gotten the time they got if this was all one big WrestleMania. But since it was 2 nights, everyone got a little bit more time, which is the reason this match was pretty okay. Then after that, we got Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with Logan Paul at ringside. So I thought Logan Paul was going to be like a guest referee or something, but no, he was just sitting there watching the match. And Sami Zayn comes out first, then he introduces Logan Paul, and Logan Paul comes out, and Sami Zayn was dancing, and then Kevin Owens comes out, and this match was really good. There was like exploders, suplexes off the top rope, power bombs. The match started with Sami Zayn going for a haluva kick, immediately gets pop-up power bombed, but he rolls out of the ring. And there was a bunch of back and forth action until the end. Sami Zayn went for a haluva kick, hit it, went for another one. Kevin Owens super kicked him again, and then Kevin Owens was saying, "You deserve this." Hit him with a stunner. 1, 2, 3. Logan Paul comes in, and Sami Zayn is saying, "Kevin Owens screwed me." Logan Paul gets up and goes to congratulate Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn pushes Logan Paul and goes, "What are you doing? You're my guest, not his." So Logan Paul pushes Sami Zayn down. Sami Zayn gets mad and leaves, and then Kevin Owens and Logan Paul are celebrating, and Kevin Owens, you can just tell something's off. The crowd knew it. Everyone knew it. Logan Paul was going to get a stunner, which he did. He went to dap up Kevin Owens. Boom, kick in the gut, stunner to Logan Paul. And Kevin Owens beats Sami Zayn and stuns Logan Paul at WrestleMania. It's sad that he didn't get to jump off the pirate ship, but who knows? Maybe if they ever go back, maybe he will. Then after that, we have Matt Riddle versus Sheamus for the United States Championship, and this match was good. We knew it was going to be a physical one because both of these guys are strong and they have the good matches and they really hit each other. And yeah, they did. So we had a bunch of cool spots, like Matt Riddle flipping all around the place, Sheamus with knees and kicks and stuff. And there was a botch where Sheamus had Matt Riddle up for a white noise off the top rope, but Sheamus's feet were on the top rope yet. They were underneath, so he had to step onto the top rope, and he did fall. He got mad, hit Matt Riddle with a white noise, and then a splash off the top rope, but Matt Riddle kicked out. And then the end was when Matt Riddle ran, did a backflip off the top rope, and got hit with a freaking bro kick. Matt Riddle busted his lip open. He was gushing out blood, and Sheamus pins him. And Sheamus is the new United States champion. I don't really agree with that. I think Matt Riddle should have won. It's his first WrestleMania. He was the champ. Or if you're going to do that, why didn't Sheamus win the title at Elimination Chamber from Bobby Lashley, and then Matt Riddle wins it at WrestleMania? So then Sheamus can still be the champ for a little bit. That's how I would have done it. But either way, it was a good match and a good ending. Kind of like the Adam Cole and Ricochet one from TakeOver Brooklyn 2018, I think. But yeah, that was a good match. Very physical too. Then after that, we had Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E got a big entrance with fireworks and a performance by Wwe and everything. And then Apollo Crews came out, and this was a Nigerian drum fight. And going into this, we had no idea what Nigerian drum fight was. But it turns out it's an Extreme Rules match with some drums and stuff around. So, literally, it's an Extreme Rules match with a drum. So, it's, I guess you could call it a Nigerian drum fight. But the match started with them both just taking shots at each other with kendo sticks. They were going onto the steps and everything. There was a part where Apollo Crews went to do the same thing he did to Big E a couple months ago when he turned heel to drop the steel steps on Big E, but Big E moved. There was a part where Big E picked Apollo up and slammed him on the steps. And Apollo landed right on his arm. That looked like it hurt. And towards the end, Big E had Apollo Crews, or Big E was lying on the table, and Apollo Crews went to jump off it, hit a frog splash on Big E, but Big E moved, so Apollo went through the table, but not Big E. Big E picked him up for the big ending, hit it. Well, I was like, that's it. Big E wins. 1, 2, no count at all, actually, because Daba Kato, the guy from Raw Underground back in like August, he actually showed up and picked up Big E and smacked him, and then chokeslammed him, and then put Apollo Crews on him. 1, 2, 3. Apollo is your new Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. You know, it's weird how they have big plans for Big E, but then he loses at WrestleMania. I don't have a problem with it, though, because I like Apollo Crews and this new heel character, and this might mean that Big E could be going after Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Who knows? But this was a pretty good match. Pretty physical and extreme, too. And then after that, we had Rhea Ripley versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. This match was pretty good. Rhea Ripley had a live performance, and she stomped on the ground in her signature thing where she like comes out and like stomps on the ground on the beat drop. And she had a ton of fire and fireworks and stuff, and that was looking pretty cool. She walked to the ring, and then Asuka had a normal entrance. This match was pretty cool. There was a spot where Asuka hit a DDT to Rhea Ripley off of the apron to the floor. That looked like it hurt. And then the way the match ended was Asuka went for that thing where she runs off the ropes and then she hits her with her hip right in the face. But Ripley caught her, hit her with the Riptide. 1, 2, 3. Rhea Ripley is the new Raw Women's Champion. And people were actually mad about that because Asuka didn't win. Like, come on. You guys always say, let's build new stars. And then when a new star is made, they complain. I don't know. But I'm happy that Rhea Ripley won. She's one of my favorites. And it was hard choosing who I wanted to win, Bianca or Ripley, at the Royal Rumble. But in the whole thing, it didn't matter because both of them win the championships on Raw and SmackDown at WrestleMania. And then after that, we got the most anticipated match at WrestleMania. It was the triple threat match for the Universal Championship between Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan made his entrance first, and the whole arena was doing yes. Then Edge came out. He got a big pop, a ton of fireworks and everything. Then Roman Reigns came out, and he got a big boo. Everyone was booing him, which I'm pretty sure WWE was really happy about because they wanted him to be booed. And I thought for sure he was going to get cheered because he's this new guy that everyone loves, even though he's a bad guy. But no, he actually got booed, which was pretty cool. And he got a ton of fireworks with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. He had the thing, he had the thing around his neck that he got at Hell in a Cell when he was like officially named the head of the table and everything, tribal chief. And he got a ton of fireworks. He made his entrance. And I forgot to mention that Edge was wearing white and red gear just like Randy Orton. Like it was kind of like they planned it or something. It looked really cool. So maybe like a 2-pack Elite or something of that attire would be really cool. But anyway, the match was really good. There was a part where Jey Uso came and attacked Daniel Bryan and Edge, and then Edge took him out by hitting an Edgeinator or Execution DDT or whatever onto the steps to Jey Uso. That took him out of action for a while. And then there was a part where Roman Reigns powerbombed Daniel Bryan through the announce table. He was standing on the steel steps, and then he turned and Edge ran up the steps and speared him off of him, and they went flying. That was pretty cool. There was a part where Edge went to get a concerto on Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns moved, but then Edge put Roman Reigns in a crossface with a piece of the chair leg in Roman Reigns' mouth to like get more damage done. Then Daniel Bryan comes in and puts a yes lock on Roman Reigns at the same time. So we've got a crossface by Edge and a yes lock by Daniel Bryan all at the same time on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is screaming in agony. Edge and Daniel Bryan are headbutting each other. Eventually Daniel Bryan gets all vicious and starts beating up Edge. And then there was a part where eventually Edge gets back on top because Jey Uso comes in. Edge goes out of the ring and he grabs a steel chair. He comes into the ring. He's going to hit the concerto on Daniel Bryan, and he actually did. He hit a concerto on Daniel Bryan. Then Jey Uso comes in and beats up Edge. Edge beats the crap out of Jey Uso with the chair. He goes for the concerto on Roman Reigns, but he gets caught with a spear. Roman Reigns hits a concerto on Edge and then drags Edge over to Daniel Bryan's carcass, puts Edge on top of Daniel Bryan, and then pins both of them to win or retain the Universal Championship. So Roman Reigns definitely made a statement that he is the head of the table at WrestleMania. Night 2 was really good. Night 1 was really good. WrestleMania in all, probably one of the best WrestleManias ever, if I'm being completely honest. Especially when you compare it to last year, because last year was good, but it had no fans. So this year made it even better with the fans and everything. Stage was awesome, the music was awesome, the graphics were awesome, the matches were awesome. And yeah, so overall, I'm going to give WrestleMania, you know what, a 10 out of 10, a 9.5 out of 10. I'm going to give WrestleMania 37 a 9.5 out of 10. A really good show, a lot of title changes. You know, we had new Raw Tag Team Champions, we had new SmackDown Women's Champion, new United States Intercontinental Champion, new Raw Women's Champion. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff happened. Oh, and I forgot to mention real quick that Bayley came out and got attacked by the Bella Twins. Ugh, but who cares, because if it's not Becky Lynch, we don't want it. But yeah, so that was it for WrestleMania. A really good show. Let me know what you guys thought about WrestleMania 37 Night 1 and 2 down in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Turn on the post notifications, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.